In today's video, we're going to talk about the brand new 3A series from nothing launched at MWC 2025. We're talking about two devices, the 3A, the standard edition, and the 3A Pro. The 3A Pros features some unique experiences that provide us a better optimized experience than what we typically get with the standard 3A series or the A series, which are typically known to be more affordable. But in this situation, we're starting to look A, at a return to Snapdragon, that's number one. B, some unique features and characteristics with a side button that we haven't seen before from nothing. This is TK. Let's go ahead and check them out and see all of the cool things that these devices bring in for the price point that they're asking for. Like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos for you on the channel. So in front of us are the boxes for the brand new 3A Pro on the right side and the 3A on the left. Now, these are the two colors that I received, but the 3A Pro does have two different colorways that are going to be available. And of course, the 3A has three different colorways available. And one of them actually looks really nice as a nice little deep blue color. The main experience that we're looking here is that both of these devices are going to be coming in under 500 bucks. More specifically, the 3A is going to be at $379 and the 3A Pro is going to be at $459. And we're talking about 12 256 gigs of internal storage as far as the maximum capacity function that we have in here. At least in the US, those are the two versions that we're going to be getting, 12 256 on both. Now, as you'll notice here, first and foremost, is the devices do come in the box. There is no charger in the box. We haven't had devices with chargers from nothing for some time. There's basically a USB-C cable to be able to use it to charge and connect your device to your PC, and a SIM ejector tool. Both of these devices are going to be featuring dual SIM configuration, although the Pro will feature an eSIM. This is where we're going to start looking at some of those exceptions, but there's a lot of similarities between both of these devices. Like an example, both of them are featuring a 5,000 milliampere battery, a 50 watt wired charging in here, and the capability of basically going from 0 to 100% in about 56 minutes on both of these devices. Now, there's going to be configurations depending on the markets that are in there, as I showed you guys or gave you guys the pricing that was mostly for the US using the beta program. But as far as internationally, there's going to be different variants, somewhere between 8,128 and 8,256 and 12,256. Some of them are going to be unique to India, and some of them are going to be outside of India primarily. So depending on the market that you're in, please make sure to check out the Nothing website to get the latest information as to what you're getting there. Now, the main thing that you'll notice here is that we have basically a triple camera stack on the back on both of these devices. The differences that it's going to be essentially is the type of sensors that we're using and also what type of technology that we're using. Now here you'll notice that the actual camera bump is a lot more protruded than what we typically get with a Nothing phone, which is typical here to the Nothing Phone 3A. So this already kind of tells you that we're using a different technology when it comes down to that periscope camera that we have on this device. The main sensor on both of these devices are going to be the 50 megapixel camera, although it's going to be a Samsung sensor here on the right, the GNJ, and of course here on the left is going to be the GN9 on the 3A. So a little bit different, but overall similar experiences. And again, with OIS support in here, contrast detection, dual pixels, of course, PDAF, a little bit more customized here that we get on the actual Pixel 3A Pro. Now on the left here, we have a 50 megapixel telescope lens. That's the Samsung GN5. On the right side, we're looking at a brand new Sony, it's 50 megapixel periscope lens that is actually using the periscope configuration where the light hits and actually goes sideways on the actual mechanism to provide us the best camera experience. This is the first for nothing and definitely appreciated. Now, next thing, obviously, we're looking at an 8 megapixel camera. That's going to be the exact same 8 megapixel camera on both. That's going to be for our ultra wide experience. As far as the front facing camera, when we switch over to the front, we'll notice that there's also a slightly different experience here as well. Let's go ahead and just get out of the camera app and then we'll go to the home screen. The cameras themselves here on the Pro is going to be a 50 megapixel JN1. On the left here, it's going to be a 32 megapixel KD1. Both of them are Samsung sensors. We are using the 7S Gen 3 processor. That means we're using pretty much the same Spectra ISP on both of these devices. So we're going to start looking at some of the similarities now. The displays that we're looking at here are both 6.7 inch or 6.77 inch displays, and they're both going to be AMOLED display, LTPS, flexible panel, 30 to 120 hertz refresh rate on both of them, up to 3000 peak brightness, and up to an average brightness of about 800 nits. Now, both of these devices are supporting a 5,000 milliampere battery, supported with the 50 watt charging. Now, of course, that's going to be wired, but unfortunately, we do not have a charger in the box, but you should be able to use any PD charger on the market as long as it's higher or rated to be at a higher than 50 watts capacity. So we talked about the fact that both of these devices have the exact same display, the same battery, storage and RAM configurations will vary, but for the most part offer very similar experiences. Now, on the side here, we'll notice a very unique button that we haven't had in the past. And now we're going to talk about this. This is the space key. This is how we actually able to access it. The power button is positioned right above that, and you'll notice that basically for the most part, we're looking at the exact same thing. The material on the sides, the material of the frame is very much the same. A microphone at the top. On the left side here, we have access to the volume rockers. The cameras on the back, we already talked about the fact that the bump is a lot bigger. That's due to that new sensor that we added here for the telephoto or the telescopic experience. Now on the bottom, we have access to the dual SIM tray, as well as the microphone, USB-C, and a bar and firing speaker. One thing to mention is that the Pro does feature eSIM. It's not just a dual SIM card, it's dual SIM card with an eSIM functionality, where the standard does not. So there's a few things that are starting to kind of like show what the difference is between a standard and a Pro, at least in the A series, in the eyes of nothing. Both of them will work in the US, again, on the variant that you're able to pick up directly from their website. They're going to be basically supporting AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. They will both receive, well, individually, obviously, up to 3 years of software update. So at the time it is first released or available on their site, 3 more years of software update, and up to 6 years of security patch updates. So 6 years of security patch and 3 years of OS update. So we're going to start with 15, we'll go all the way up to 18, and that's going to be as far as the life cycle on the A series. One thing to mention is that both of them are going to be available very soon in March. The 3A standard will be available right on day 1 from the 4th, and hopefully be starting to ship around the 11th, as opposed to where the Pro is going to be available for pre-order on the 11th, and then starting to deliver sometime by the end of March, so about the 25th of the month. So something to keep in mind. We don't have wireless charging, but the design with the see-through configuration is absolutely fantastic. You see a lot of those similarities in here. We have the Glyph interface that's positioned on the side here as well. And again, there's 3 different colors on the standard 3A and 2 colors on the 3A Pro. Now, as we have come to appreciate from Nothing, this is the Nothing launcher, as you can expect, launching right away. I chose to go with the dark theme. The little counter that you'll see here on the top right on the Nothing 3A Pro, that's actually how many days before I'm actually getting to the event, before the launch day, which is the 4th. So that's one of the reasons why you're seeing 4 days left to go. On the left side, we have access to the Google feed. On the right side, you can add additional options in there. Again, we have access to the Google Play Store out of the box. Of course, we're going to talk about Geekbench in a second. It is powered by the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3. And as we see here, both of them are launching with Nothing OS 3.1. It is up to date. Again, this is the Pro on the right side and the standard one on the left. The camera stack here is a 50-50 and an 8 megapixel with a 50 front, 50-50 and an 8 megapixel with a 32 on the front. Storage 256, 12 plus 2 additional gigs from the storage reference, 7S Gen 3 as far as the processor, 5000 milliampere and a 6.67 inch flexible AMOLED panel. So very nice, and both are flat displays, so it's definitely very appreciative. And of course, we have the flat sides, pretty much in line with what we've come to expect from Nothing. Regarding Geekbench, again, we talked about the fact that this is the 7S Gen 3. It's a mid-ranger type of a processor, and it's more power efficient version of the 7 Gen 3 that we've seen from Qualcomm. Now, when you run the Geekbench score, for the most part, they run pretty similar, 1165 to 1149 on the Silver score, and 3288 and 3253. This is in the standard power mode or power profile. Now, we are able to launch the gaming mode, which enables us to actually push the device a little bit further, and that gives us 1183 on the single score and up to 33,338 on the multi-score. So a significant bump from the 3288 to the 3338. So not a very big difference, but it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're looking at performance. Again, 7S Gen 3 means we're going to be able to get a very nice long battery life. The refresh rate that we have in here provides us the ability of going up to 120 frames per second, but still get the benefit of having a longer or better performance when it comes down to camera experiences. Now, I do want to talk to you guys about the space, or essentially what they're referring to as the brand new space functionality that leverages the power of the nice little side key button that we have on this device. The first thing you'll notice, first and foremost, if I click it once, it's going to take a screenshot of whatever I'm looking at. I'm not going to do anything there. But if I press and hold, it'll take an actual audio recording. So let's go ahead and do a quick audio recording to test out the features of the brand new space functionality on the Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro. It's going to go ahead and save that, and it'll throw it straight into the actual space functionality. You'll notice right there. Now, you'll notice there's first, of course, there's also a nice little thing that says a nice thoughtful reminder has been set. I asked it just a few minutes ago, or maybe about 30 minutes ago, to give me a reminder tomorrow to pick up some flowers for my wife. So very nice, very simple, and it gives me a little bit of a nice little touch to that. But what I've been doing before is basically leveraging the power of what we're seeing here. So I took a picture of one of my little Piccolo Daima figures in here, and I allowed the camera to take the image and also see what their system is recognizing into it. It says this is a photo of a Dragon Ball action figure, including, basically it sees all the other ones in the side. And of course it says including Piccolo in the portrait camera mode. And that is true. I had it in there. It is portrait, it is leveraging, and it sees Piccolo in there. And it gives me the ability of adding it to a specific collection collection or even add an audio note to it. As I mentioned to you guys, if I press it once, it takes a screenshot and it can add it and add an audio note to it. I'm not going to add that there. Now, what I really like about it is at the beginning of this, or what I was doing initially, is I wanted to see how does the analysis process work? How does it summarize? How does it categorize information? A lot of you guys probably know I actually have a lot of content that I produce and of course shoot for MWC 2025. And leading up to that, I still had a whole bunch of things to do. So what it did, it not only narrated the entire conversation that I had, but it gave me my goals of what I needed to do. I needed to record a few videos here for the Xiaomi 15, 15 Ultra, of course here the Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro, and it just gave me the list, and it actually giving me all the experiences or the things that I need to do. I'm also able to set reminders from it. I'm also able to set certain functionality by just recording it, and it goes through and analyzes the data. So an example would be here. You recognize that this is 3 Dragon Ball characters, figures, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Goku, and it got them in the right order and it got the right characters. It's not just generally thinking what it is. Obviously, these are Daima characters. It didn't recognize that part, but I'm assuming that's because Daima is very new. We can jump in here. It says snapshot showing a keyboard by camera application. Very straightforward. And the beauty about it is you can use this whenever you're outdoors. Like you find something interesting. You go in here, you put the phone on top of it, and you don't actually have to snap the image. All you have to do is basically put the actual subject in there, take the configuration in here, push the button again, and it'll snap it, put it straight into the space function. And at that point, just give it a few minutes because it does take some time basically to analyze. So you'll notice right here, I added the image and it's basically summarizing. So I'm actually interested to see what it's going to say. Okay, so we're going to leave that alone. We'll come back to it. All the customizations that we see with Nothing are pretty much in here. The camera experiences, as I mentioned to you guys, this is where it changes a little bit more. Because of the camera system being a little bit different, the Pro side does feature a lot more reach when it comes to the zoom level with basically the periscope lens as opposed to the telephoto. We're seeing night mode in here mostly because the device is sitting on the table. So we have portrait mode, macro mode, night mode, photography, video, and more. Of course, we can do the additional one, expert mode, pano, time lapse, and all that. One thing to mention is the 7S Gen 3, although I thought it actually was able to allow us to shoot at 4K 60 frames per second, it seems like 4K 30 frames per second is the limitation of what we're able to shoot in video, both on the front. And as far as the actual experience on the 3A, you'll notice that it's actually capped at 1080p 30 and we don't have a way of changing it. The 3A Pro allows us to shoot 4K 30. So a slightly different experience, but I definitely appreciate the fact that it's mirrored across the sensors here with the 4K 30 as far as what we get in here. But let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and go outside real quick and do a quick sample of the front-facing cameras and the main sensor on the back on the brand new 3A and the 3A Pro. We're going to start off the front-facing experience here on the brand new Nothing Phone 3A Pro. Now, 4K 30 frames per second is pretty much going to be the maximum resolution we're shooting here. Front-facing, even the main sensor on the back. And I feel like this is something to do with the 7S Gen 3 that we're using as far as the processor, but it's nice that it's mirrored, so at least we get that experience. A little bit different on the 3A, which that does change to 1080p on the front-facing camera. So the Pro does have a few unique features that leverage the power of the processor, but also the lenses that we have, as the front-facing camera here is at 50 megapixel over the 32 on the 3A. And now we're using the main sensor on the back. The capabilities that we have on the Pro are not only leveraged on the main sensor, but also the fact that we have that brand new sensor that we have, basically the periscope lens that is an upgraded version than what we get on the 3A. The differences between the two are very subtle, but definitely very strong in the camera experience, not only on the front, but also on the back. eSIM support is primarily on the Pro, not on the standard model. And depending on the area that you're in, you're going to get different configurations from the storage and the RAM. But all of the configuration at their best will not cross the $500 mark, which makes this a very compelling device, especially if you're looking to save some money and get some really customizations. And of course, you also have the Glyph interface to be able to use the fill-in light around the lens in the back. Now, of course, we definitely want to talk about the audio experience on the speakers that we have in here. So we're going to go ahead and start doing a quick playback example here with NCS Release. This is Jumbo by NCS Release, our favorite song on the channel. And we'll go ahead and start with the 3A Pro.
Jack it up.
Definitely very nice. Stereo speakers experience is very good, and it definitely gets nice and loud at 100% volume level. Let's go ahead and turn on this one.
Jack it up.
For the most part, honestly, I'll probably say this. They both sound pretty much the exact same experience here. You're not going to really notice a big difference between the two. Well, you probably noticed right there, right out the bat, that I was actually using the Glyph interface for the music virtualizer. And that's because the Glyph interface obviously still comes in with the same experience as we've seen before, although we no longer have to kind of go around to activate certain functionality. Music virtualizer is built in here. Volume indicator is also built in here. So I'm actually able to show you guys real quick here, like more of a direct graphic experience of how the volume level is set on this device. We're also able to customize the ability of bedtime schedule. Composer, very nice, very straightforward. I have a few things playing in here. So we have Swedish House Mafia. Fantasy 1 is the one I created. This is a very bad one on my side, but you can definitely see here, very nice and customizable. And of course, you're able to set that as your ringtone. Those are pretty much straightforward here. And let's go ahead and go back. We'll swipe. Last but not least, flip the glyph here is obviously silence on demand. Glyph timer, you can also customize that as well. And what I liked about this is it also works with the glyph progress experience. Now, in the past, I've actually done this with early versions of this, but essentially it supports Uber, and it basically runs the lighting effect on the back as the car is getting close to you to fill up the lighting bars on the side. And as it fills up all the way to the end, that means pretty much that your driver should be waiting in front of where you're standing waiting for them. Last but not least, of course, notifications, ringtones, you can customize, and of course, you can also customize how bright the colors are on the Glyph interface. And if you like to actually use the Glyph interface as a fill light, or the option to be able to use it, turning on the flashlight once turns on the standard flashlight that's positioned at the top. Turning it one more time, that becomes the fill light, which essentially is the Glyph interface. So you can use the main sensors on the back, get the best video capabilities, and utilize the full benefit of the Glyph interface to get that fill light, almost like using a nice light box like what we're using right now in the studio. Being that this is powered by the 7S Gen 3, it is a mid-ranger type of a solution. So currently we don't have 120 frames per second gameplay, at least in Call of Duty Mobile. It's one of my favorite games, and this is why I always love to see the compatibility at least out of the box when it's first launching on a device. And this is exactly the same on both devices because we're looking at the same overall performance and of course screen size and screen refresh rate on both the 3A and the 3A Pro. The camera experience and the eSIM is really where it starts getting that differentiation functionalities in there. But at the end of the day, when we're starting to take a look at the images as you're seeing there, you're seeing slightly different experiences, but a very good, I guess, improvement in processing that we've seen over the years. With Nothing OS 3.1, we're noticing a lot of better experiences as far as the camera processing. The Spectra ISP from the Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 is helping out a lot. And of course, when we start wanting to actually get that reach with the periscope camera, obviously the Pro takes us a little bit further with a clearer image without having to lose the quality when we try to go in beyond the standard optical zoom that we get. Now the Pro is able to go all the way up to 30 times, which is a little bit more than what we get with the 3A. But at the end of the day, what you're looking at here right now is that these are two budget-friendly devices, mid-ranger devices. The 3A is more budget-friendly at the $350 range. And of course, the 3A Pro takes us a little bit into that $459, but I feel like it's justified for what you're looking for, especially when it comes down to the camera system. The Glyph interface, the space, and of course the nice side key button that we have in here are very nice. I love the way they are interacting and the functional options that we get in there. It runs the analysis, and it does take a little bit depending what you put in there. But again, as I showed you there, it not only narrated the entire conversation, you're able to play it back. It understood it, categorized the things that I needed to do, the videos that I needed to shoot before going to MWC, since I'm going to be editing a lot of that content on my way there. And of course, like this, if I wanted to set up a reminder, and let's say I saw something interesting on a site or even through the camera, it's able to analyze and give me that information. Obviously, I already knew what those images were supposed to be, but if, let's say it was something that I didn't know what it was, this becomes very helpful. I like the fact that we have NFC, and of course the fact that we are also able to get eSIM on the Pro. I feel like that's very helpful, especially if you travel a lot or if you're in an area where eSIMs are functional. Although I will say that the eSIM is not available in India currently, so only in the international market. That may change, but at least that's how I was informed. So at the end of the day, what you're looking at, some of those images I'm sharing with you guys are obviously from here in LA and of course in Barcelona. I would love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of the brand new 3A and 3A Pro? Which one is your favorite? Are you trying to go for a little bit more budget friendly as you really like the 3A series? Again, same battery size, same display, a lot of the same functionalities. And the cameras are really nice too. They're not bad in any way, shape or form. It's just that you get that nice new improvement on the 3A Pro. And of course, how does that compare to you guys with the 3A Pro? Is that something that compels you to go a little bit more on the dollars to get that pro experience with the periscope lens and the better camera experiences. Again, the front-facing camera also got a little bit of improvement there, which is why we're able to shoot 4K 30 across the sensors on the Pro, where on at least the standard 3A, you're limited to 1080p on the front-facing camera. So like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much to Nothing for allowing me to check out both the 3A and the 3A Pro. And as I showed you guys at the beginning of the video, that massive 2-box delivery here that they sent over, it looks absolutely fantastic. I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much.